Welcome, Math Dragons. We're going to work on the first page, which is an equation graphic organizer. I've already started off with the definition at the top. If you'd like to use the same colors I'm using today, I've got purple, black, red, and green with me. Definition. An equation is a mathematical statement in which two expressions are set equal to each other. Be sure to copy that down. We have examples of equations, such as 3x plus 5 equals 6, 2y equals 4. 2y means 2 times y. We can have something more complicated, such as 1/2 w minus 9 equals 0. The thing they have in common, the equal sign, because they are equations. And I think it's noteworthy to highlight that equate is a root hiding in the word equation. Now, what might be a non-example? These can be a little trickier. So, a non-example, it's going to go over here. We have, perhaps, just a term. A term is not an equation. I could have 2 times g. That does not make an equation. We could have an inequality, such as 5d is less than 4. It's got a nice less than sign, but it's not an equal sign. Or we could just have a standalone variable, such as r, but without an equal sign, he can't be called an equation. Poor guy. Now we're going to put some important rules about equations here. Rule number 1. Can you guess it? Yes. It must have an equal sign. That is the rule. It's not a trick. So, rule number 1. Must have an equal sign. Rule number 2. What you do to one side of the equation, you must do to the other side to create an equivalent equation. What you do to one side of the equation, you must do to the other side to create an equivalent equation. You want to keep that balance. But we know this is especially true when we're trying to isolate a variable. Another surprising fact is, has one number as an answer. Only one number will make it a true statement. Has one number as an answer. So you should have a nice looking graphic organizer of an equation. Well done. Next, explain the differences and similarities between an expression and an equation. Provide an example of each. Pause the video. Compare and contrast an expression with an equation. When you're ready, resume the video. The sample answer could be, an expression does not have an equal sign. An expression may or may not have variables. Such as 3x plus 5. An equation must have an equal sign. An equation is two expressions set equal to each other. An equation can be solved. Whereas an expression can be simplified. If a variable exists within your expression, you can only simplify it if they tell you the value of the variable. An equation, on the other hand, can be solved because you can isolate the variable. For example, if I had 3x plus 2 equals 14, which is an equation, I could use inverse operations to isolate the variable and determine a solution. I could subtract 2 from both sides, which would give me 3x equals 12. Then I could divide by 3 on both sides, which will isolate x, and x will be 4. Is 3 times 4 plus 2 equal to 14? Yes, it is. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 2 would be 13, 14. Ta-da! An expression can only be simplified. So if they gave you 3x plus 5 as your expression, you can't solve that unless they provide a value for x. There are other numerical expressions that can be simplified without values for the variables because they contain no variables whatsoever. That concludes page 28, Equation Graphic Organizer. Thank you.